Hi, it's kind of bright out here. It's not too good. I'm back. I headed down the road, realized I was going the wrong way. I was actually going in the same direction that I'd come last night, and I don't want to do that. I want to go in a different direction. Oh, yeah, and I got to go to the bathroom. So I came back up here, pulled into the TA. On the way into the TA, there's a tractor trailer right out in the middle of the road. Poor thing stalled right in the middle of the road. I guess that's a really bad day for that poor guy. I need to empty out my trash while I'm here too. I need to get some of the stuff out of my car. Man, this is steep down here. This is really steep. Oh, and I apologize. I need to tell you guys that I tend to repeat myself a lot, and I really am sorry about that. That's just something I do, and I'm trying to get better at it. Oh yeah, and the police are out here. I guess, I had to everyone else is having to try to navigate around the truck. That's pretty much what I had to do. I had to, try to drive around it, and the trucker in front of me, he just went right past the police car and drove up the wrong side of the road. So, anyway, it looks like the trucker finally must have got something done, because he's got his hood down, whatever. But that's a bad day. That's a bad day when you stall out in the road. As a matter of fact, I have a story to tell that's a few months back. My car stalled out right in the road, and anyway, for those of you that don't know, and hold on a second, I'm gonna get back in my car and finish. I'm gonna finish this video. I'm gonna finish this as soon as I get back into the car, and I'm gonna finish. Okay. So, well, you can see right there, he's starting to move. I guess he finally got his rig, he finally got his rig going. I think the police car is finally gone, I think. Anyway, I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm gonna finish this video. Since I'm on the subject, the trucker stalling out in the road, this is something I want to discuss or talk about, rather. Darn it. I want to talk about, because a few months back, my car stalled out right in the left-hand side of the road. And needless to say, that was a really bad day for me. It was a bad day. It was just bad. Anyway, all the way around. So anyway, the car stalled out in the left-hand side, on the left-hand side of the road. There was a lot of road work going on. Anyway, I called AAA. AAA says, "Oh, call Highway Patrol." But I guess because I was sitting on the left-hand side of the road, and I was upset. I was a little panicky, because my car was sitting in the left-hand lane, and I got it off as far as I could, but there's no shoulder on the left-hand side of the road. So anyway, and I think I did talk briefly about this in another video. This was the car that it's been in the shop for months, and I owe them $1,000, and the only thing that I'm going to be able to do basically is haul it to the scrap yard, because they can't figure out what's wrong with it. Anyway, so finally the AAA driver got there. Now, for those of you who don't know, right now AAA has suspended shared rides, and it's been that way for quite a few months. So if your car breaks down on the side of the road, you are not going to be able to share a ride with the tow truck driver. And anyway, I don't think I was aware of that until I called. But anyways, so I had to call my then boyfriend, my ex-boyfriend, to come after me. And it was about a 2-hour drive for him. So anyway, the AAA driver shows up, and he's irate. He showed up early, as a matter of fact. AAA had told me to call in when I had secured a ride and he was on his way. Well, that didn't happen. The AAA driver showed up like an hour and a half early for whatever reason. Anyway, when he got there and I told him I had to wait for my boyfriend to get there, he was absolutely irate. He was irate. He got very angry about it. He actually suggested, taking my car back to his shop. I already had the car being towed almost 200 miles back home, or 100, it was somewhere in that neighborhood, close to 200 miles. Anyways, so I already had that in place. He shows up. He wants to take my car back to his shop. I'm like, no, that wasn't what I planned on doing. And doesn't offer to take me to a motel. He actually offers to drop me off at a campground. Oh, there are lots and lots of campgrounds in this area, he says. I'm like, a campground? Is that a joke? I mean, my car breaks down on the side of the road, and granted, the motels in the area I broke down in was in the middle of nowhere. Motels would have been about 15 miles back. But I mean, 15 miles, that's nothing. Anyway, and granted, they're not supposed to be giving rides anyway, but he did offer to do that. So I was like, anyway, I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. So he had to wait. My boyfriend shows up. Okay, my boyfriend gets in the mix, and he decides that my car does not need to go to the shop I had originally was going to have it towed to. He decided that my car needed to go to his brother. His brother's a mechanic. He works on cars, but he was almost 200 miles in the opposite direction. Nevertheless, he had to be brought into the mix, so he decided, he was calling the shots. He comes to get me, and he decides, he's the man. He's calling the shots. That made the tow truck driver even angrier, needless to say. But anyway, not that it really matters, because AAA was paying his bill, whether he towed it 200 miles in the direction I told him to tow it in, or he was going 200 miles in the opposite direction to my boyfriend's house. So, it didn't really matter whether it was there or it was someplace else. AAA was paying his bill, period. Nevertheless, he was, he got irate about it. He didn't like it. Anyway, we got home. He claimed he couldn't find my boyfriend's brother's shop. Anyway, didn't call for 2-3 hours. Called us up. Didn't drop it off at the shop until like midnight. His brother lives real close to the shop, so he saw the car come in. Calls up at midnight and says, there's no fuel in the car. When was the last time you put fuel in the car? That his brother says this to me. I'm like, it had half a tank. Hi, this is a continuation from AAA Nightmare that I did yesterday. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up as quick as I can. Like I said in one of my previous videos, I'm still in Georgia. I'm up near the Tennessee line now. Anyway, to continue the AAA Nightmare where my car broke down on the side of the road. Anyway, the tow truck driver got my car taken to my boyfriend's brother's shop. Called, screamed, yelled, very unprofessional. Anyway, he called, and more than once, called several times. On one of the calls, he demands to speak to my boyfriend, won't talk to me at all. He says, I don't want to talk to you. I only want to talk to him. Anyway, so I guess he was having maybe a little bit of a hard time finding my boyfriend's brother's shop for whatever reason. Anyway, GPS was all screwed up. I've heard that before. So anyway, he waited for several hours before even calling us. So come to find out later, I found out that he had, in those 2 hours, he must have found some place where he could take my car down off of the flatbed and drain all the fuel out, because there was no fuel. The car had a half a tank of fuel when it was picked up. When it arrived at my boyfriend's brother's shop, riding on the back of a flatbed, it was bone dry. So, in fact, it was so empty that his brother had to add fuel before he could even start it up. So, anyway, the final conversation, he called, he yelled, he screamed. He started accusing me of there not being anything wrong with my car. He said, there's nothing wrong with your car. You just ran out of gas. Basically, he called me basically a stupid woman. I was a stupid woman that didn't know what was going on, and my car was simply out of gas. That was it. That was the only thing wrong with it. Then threatened to turn me into AAA, and I mean, I was so stressed out by the whole situation and so upset and so angry about the whole situation. I waited a couple of days. Anyways, by this time, my boyfriend's brother had come to the conclusion that the car needed a new PCM, and so it would have to go to the dealership. So anyway, I had to call AAA again and tow it to the dealership near my house that not too far from where I live, that I use. Anyway, that's the car that's a whole other story. This is the car that's been in the shop now. It actually has been to like 3 different shops. It's been in the shop now like 8 months. They can't figure out what's wrong with it. They did replace the PCM. That wasn't the problem. They thought it was a cluster. That wasn't the issue. They replaced a crank sensor. That wasn't the issue. Anyway, the car's no better. It's not doing any better, and nobody can figure out what's wrong with it. 3 shops, 8 months, nobody can figure it out. But anyway, back as far as AAA, the AAA Nightmare goes, I was so upset. Like I said, I didn't call for a couple of days. Finally, after about 2-3 days, I called AAA and I filed a formal complaint against his tow truck shop, because the way he acted was completely and totally unprofessional. It was disrespectful. I had never dealt with anyone so unprofessional, impolite, and disrespectful in my entire life. In fact, I was so upset by the whole situation that I pretty much told everyone that if I had to go back and do this situation over, I would have walked out on the interstate and just stuck my thumb out and hitched a ride with whatever trucker was, or whoever was willing to give me a ride the 2 hours, because that's how difficult the situation was, how frustrating the situation was, how bad it was. And to make matters worse, AAA told me to get an Uber or a Lyft. When the sheriff's department and the highway patrol came out, they laughed. They were like, there's no Uber out here. I mean, I was in the middle of nowhere. So it was a very difficult situation. And I mean, with COVID, they of course don't allow shared rides with a tow truck driver anymore. So you're left to get home the best way you can. Your car can go wherever, but you're left to call a friend, a family member, hitch a ride, stick your thumb out, whatever works for you, because you're just left to your own devices. Walk, whatever, figure out however you're going to get home the best way you can. And or get to wherever you need to go the best way you can. So if you happen to be in an area with no Uber, well, you're kind of out of luck. Now, hopefully you're in an area with some taxis, so, you can get the car won't go very far, and you can get a taxi to a motel. But God forbid it turned out to be something like mine. Mine's been in a shop for 8 months. I couldn't live in a motel for 8 months. That was impossible. So, I mean, I would have been stuck literally having to buy another car basically on the fly, and I have done that. I have done it. It was a Chevy Impala. I love the car, but it wasn't a good situation, because I was basically at the mercy of the dealership, and that's a whole other issue. That's a whole other issue and a whole other video for me to talk about. The whole being at the mercy of it doesn't matter if it's a dealership or it's a shop, or who it is. You're basically at the mercy. You're basically at their mercy. So, and I got a ton of stories. I have many stories, because I've been traveling a long time. But anyway, so that's a whole other issue. Anyway, I filed the complaint. AAA did give me my 200-mile tow back. Not that really helped me, because within a month I had to pay for the whole next year's AAA service. So giving me back my 200 miles really didn't benefit me all that much, because I went into the next year's service, or next year's membership rather. So anyway, I just want to get that one out there. Let everyone know, that right now, getting towed by AAA, it's not that easy. It can be difficult. And, it's your car breaking down on the side of the road is stressful enough. But then you add some tow truck driver that wants to wants to drop you off at a campground and take your car to his shop, which he couldn't have dealt with it anyway, because it turned out that one of the issues with the car was a cluster, and that couldn't be repaired at a regular shop. It's a dealership part, and it has to be repaired by the dealership, unfortunately. But it's a dealership issue, so it has to go to the dealership. Anyway, so it just, these are difficult times, and there are tow truck drivers out there, obviously, that are taking advantage of it. And I do believe that this was one of those times when this particular tow truck driver and tow truck company wanted to simply take advantage of the situation. He just wanted to haul my car back to his shop, and who knows. But I couldn't stay in Tennessee I couldn't stay there for 8 months. The car's been in the shop for 8 months. There's no way I could stay for 8 months. Anyway, and as far as that car goes, that's a whole other issue too. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. This turned out to be kind of a long video, the whole story, but I did want to just get it out, how difficult that it can be. And I can't really offer tips, because if you're traveling and amidst COVID, it doesn't matter if you're 50 miles from home or you're 500 miles from home now. I had before, I've always had 200 miles AAA, and so I always knew that if I broke down or something happened, I've got 200 miles, I can get towed home. But now with COVID, it doesn't matter. Even if you've got 200 miles, you are not going to go anywhere. So, not with the car. I mean, the car can go wherever you want it to go, but you are going to have to, like I said, get home the best way you can. So, and I talked to some of my friends, and they didn't know this either. They don't know that if you break down on the side of the road, that this is how AAA is doing things. Now, I don't know about other roadside places, but most other roadsides don't offer the mileage tows that AAA does. And I've always been satisfied with AAA, but the COVID, I understand. I am completely aware, and I completely understand how they're dealing with COVID. They are trying to reduce the spread by not having shared rides, not having people that don't know each other in close proximity. And of course, it takes time for the tow truck driver to get out after each ride, if it were still shared, to clean the tow truck and all that stuff. I completely understand that. But some of these people that are working there, they're not on the road. They're not sitting on the side of the road or in a parking lot or wherever, in a car that won't run or won't start, or that they can't do anything with. And so they're sitting in the their comfy little chair, probably at their desk in their house, and they have no idea how stressful and how difficult the situation is because they're not in it. So they can sit back and say, oh, call Uber, even though there is no Uber in that area. And there wasn't an Uber. The sheriff laughed. He thought it was just, that was stupid. Anyway, I will say this. And at the end of this video, I do want to say this. I was at a little place called Hartford, Tennessee, middle of nowhere. I do not know the county that is in, but it was the sheriff's department in Hartford, Tennessee that showed up, and I absolutely want to thank them because the sheriff's officer that showed up was super friendly, super professional, and went above and beyond to help me. I did manage to get, my car was on the left-hand side of the road, and a Tennessee DOT worker did manage to, because the car would start, but it would only run for like a minute maybe, and then it would die. So the DOT worker literally had to jump in front of traffic to try to get my car over, to help me so I could get my car to the right-hand side of the interstate. So that came first. And then the sheriff's officer came, and because I was still right in the middle of pretty much kind of in a bad location, he, asked me if it would start. I said, yeah, it'll run for maybe a minute or two. He said, okay, that's great, whatever. I'm going, and I had to basically back the car up. I was on an off-ramp. I was at the very edge I was kind of down on the shoulder at the edge of an off-ramp. But anyway, I wasn't too far from the off-ramp. And I basically had to back the car all the way back up the off-ramp. But he backed his car up, but he stayed behind me and backed his car up with his blue lights on so that I was able to get my car safely backed up without being hit. So it did die a couple of times, but I got it backed up. And then, of course, the tow truck driver showed up, was irate that I had to wait for my boyfriend. And then, of course, you've heard the rest of that story. And then I was on the side of the road for about an hour and a half until, because it was about an hour and a half, 2-hour drive till my boyfriend got there. Another hour and a half. And he showed up, So, and then I got home, and you've heard the rest of the terribly stressful situation. But, so I will, Hartford, Tennessee, Sheriff's Department, I want to give a big, a thank you, a big shout out and a big thank you to those guys. They went above and beyond. He came, he even, started offering up ideas, trying to brainstorm ideas of how that they could, help me get home. The Uber idea was ridiculous since there was no Uber out there. But anyway, they did, they were super professional, and they did offer up some ideas, did try to, and told me they would do whatever it took to try to, see that I got home safely. And of course, I told the sheriff I was so upset, by the whole situation. I felt like just sticking my thumb out. And he said, no, okay, no, that's not safe. You can't do that. And I know it's not safe. You can't stick your thumb out. It's not safe, especially a woman alone. It's definitely not. Even a couple, even men, it wouldn't be safe. Anyway, so a big thank you and a big shout out to the Sheriff's Department in Hartford, Tennessee. They went above and beyond. They were very helpful. So just thank you. Also, Highway Patrol, Tennessee Highway Patrol showed up. Also, big shout out and a thank you to the officer that I do not know the officers' names. If I did, I would send a big thank you to him, but I don't. So anyway, big thank you to him too. He gave me a couple of things of water too. He was also very friendly, very professional, very polite. So a big shout out to the cops in Tennessee. They went above and beyond. So, anyway, I'm going to wrap this video up. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I'm in Georgia still, but I'm up near the Tennessee line now. I'm going to leave here, and I stopped at this little store, got me some lemonade. I think I repeated that in another video, but whatever. Now I'm going to head to find a truck stop, head there. and settle in for the night. One other quick thing I want to say. Last night I was trying to watch some TV, some Prime Video, Prime, and watch a movie, and I it wouldn't do anything. So I went to Tubi. It wouldn't do anything. It was, I went to Film Rise. I have a lot of TV apps, and none of them really worked that well. I couldn't believe that, because I tether from my phone, hotspot. I hotspot tether from my phone, and I have very good service. And it wasn't doing anything. And the one thing I will say is I do believe, and even YouTube didn't. I finally got some stuff to play on YouTube, but even then it was kind of slow. It was, it was a little. I was very surprised at how it was playing. Anyway, you can turn videos on YouTube down to the lowest quality though, so that helps. Anyway, I was right near the trucks though. Where I was parked, there were about 5-6 truckers, not, just semis without their trailers parked. And then right behind that was a bunch of truckers. And I noticed in one of the trucks, you could see, the person moving around in I think it was a her sleeper. And you could see the big screen TV playing. But anyways, I'm not really sure. I know there was Wi-Fi coming off of from the truck stop, and I don't know if that affected it. So honestly, I did notice that I had very poor service at this particular area. My phone was kind of okay. My phone was pretty much okay. I mean, it had said I had strong signal. Anyway, I do believe that my being near the trucks and maybe the other Wi-Fi really jammed up my my wireless signal. So just wanted to let everybody know that. Anyway, I'm gonna leave here, head to another truck stop, and good night to all.